Michal Cotler Wunsh is a member of Knesset from the Blue and White Party. She attended that emotional ceremony today. Thank you, Minister, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what was this process like? What is the impression you got from those arriving? Were they relieved or were they intimidated being in a new place with a foreign language?
So first of all, it was one of the most singularly inspiring moments of my own life. I have to say, with tears in my eyes, watching what were exhausted individuals, what it was like for them, I can tell you, is they were exhausted, having traversed great lengths and kilometers in order to arrive to the airport, to be flown here. And of course, after a lengthy flight, it was very, very emotional. It was a moment of really what I would say the fulfillment of the mission, the vision of the value and the values of the state of Israel as we know them, as it was instated to be. The values it was enshrined upon, and really to be a witness at such a moment. And I will add to that, having Pnina Tamloshete, the Minister of Aliyah and Klita, walk off the plane with them, really in a full circle, having emigrated on her own in Operation Solomon at the age of 3, was really a historic moment to witness.
And what are the logistics involved in a mission like this, especially during a pandemic? Why can't we bring all 2,000 that are part of this mission at once? Why in stages?
So you can imagine, even just greeting them was not as welcoming as we would have liked. We came as close as we could. We were able to, wave to the children whose eyes we gazed at, and the mothers and fathers. And I should mention, they're all sons and daughters of people who have waited, some of them for 20 years, to see their children here in Israel. And you're right. These are the first few hundreds of the first 2,000 that the government committed to bringing by the end of January. And the remainder of those waiting, thousands that are in waiting in Gondar and in Addis Ababa, are to be brought by the end of 2022, according to the government decision. I want to say, as a member of the Aliyah and Klita Committee and as chair of the caucus for Ethiopians in Israel, that if that needs to be expedited because situation on the ground worsens, and we know we're in, you said, a pandemic, a global pandemic, COVID-19, I can tell you that it affects not only the rest of the world as we imagine, but you can imagine those awaiting who are actually not working, very many of them unable to either travel to school or to work, and are actually situations of children with malnourishment that the Sukhnut and other agencies are there, government agencies, to assist with. The Interior Ministry representatives are there now to make sure that the first 2,000 are brought. But part of what I describe now, and that is the interministerial and the interbody involvement in bringing them all, is what complicates matters. Certainly COVID-19, with everything that it implies, of course, quarantining once on the ground, but everything else you can imagine affects the ability to bring as quickly as we can. I will say that we are with a watchful eye, and if there is a need of real humanitarian crisis or danger with this looming war that we don't know if it will be contained and in what way it will affect those in waiting, then this has to be expedited. Then the decision to bring all those waiting that are eligible to come must be expedited and brought. And as you know, they've been waiting, as I mentioned, some of them for nearly 20 years.
Michal Cotler Wunsh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.